everybody, with Repurpose House. I am Shannon Weisinger, founder and CEO. And today I have Shannon Goodell from scalable.co. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So you work for the Scalable company, but you do the social media for DigitalMarketer. So usually it's like we do this whole intro where it sounds like we're saying it off the cuff, but I read your bio and I have to read it because it was cracking me up. So senior social media manager at the Scalable company, works to drive brand awareness and generate engagement on social. Former 10th grade English teacher.
Yeah.
Awesome. Shannon has worked in the marketing field for the past 8 years, implementing proven social strategies for startups and large companies alike. But this is the part that I got really excited about. Shannon is a self-professed crazy cat lady, obsessing over her cat, Duncan. She also enjoys watching sports and the works of Stephen King. Like, those two sentences are so jam-packed.
I know. I kind of feel like, I kind of feel like I don't make sense as a person sometimes because,
Don't we all?
I love to like shop and make hip and jewelry and stuff on one hand, but also on the other hand, I love like horror movies and hard rock music
and sports. And then you're also a crazy cat lady on top of it. So
yes. Currently just have the one cat, Duncan. He's about 2.5 years old and he is absolutely amazing. He's like a perfect combination, super affectionate, but also super playful. So he's just awesome.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have such a well-rounded human being on the show today. So Thanks, Shannon, for joining us. Okay, cool. So let's talk about how you landed at the Scalable company, how you landed doing social media for DigitalMarketer. Let's kind of hear that story.
Yeah, so it's kind of been quite a journey. I've been at DigitalMarketer for about 2.5 years now. So I was a 10th grade English teacher, and then I went to graduate school at Texas State, and my goal was to actually be a sports broadcaster.
Cool.
But during my studies in the graduate program there, I fell in love with online media and social media marketing in particular. So I switched focus, and I worked at startups, and then I worked at an agency for 3 years and got just well-rounded experience there. I did all the social media for like 20 plus clients. Then I got into, they handed me like email marketing. I did Google ads at some point. I was just like,
happens.
When you've been in the agency world, you start off doing something, you have this job title, but then it's just like, you're going to do literally everything. So it was a great experience to get kind of well-rounded. But social media was kind of my passion. So after that, I've worked at a couple more startups, a credit card blog, at creditcards.com, and then landed at DigitalMarketer. And so now I'm the senior social media manager at DigitalMarketer, but I'm also now doing social media for a brand new company called the Scalable company, which is like the holding company for DigitalMarketer, a bunch of other brands, Praxio, Recess, which we're going to be launching soon. Just like lots going on here. So I'm now just launching those channels, but DigitalMarketer continues to be kind of my main focus.
That's
and
awesome.
DigitalMarketer is an e-learning company for marketers. So I market to marketers type of thing.
It's very meta. For those of you who don't know who DigitalMarketer is, you're clearly living under a rock. Go check it out. And they have tons of amazing resources. Just like you land on the website and it's like content for days. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the blog posts are crazy. Like we do an awesome job with the blog posts because they're very strategic, which a lot of times blog posts can be kind of maybe fluff or, stuff that people already know. And these are kind of like, here's the step-by-step to do this.
Right. They're super tactical, which I think is missing in a lot of people's blogs. It's like, okay, yeah, great. In theory, that's awesome. But now how do I do that like right now?
Exactly.
And that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah. We also have the 2 podcasts, which Perpetual Traffic is highly tactical about getting traffic. It's Facebook ads heavy, but it also encompasses all types of paid advertising, really. And then we have the DigitalMarketer podcast, which is kind of high-level interviews with, digital marketing professionals. It's a variety of topics from how to align sales and marketing to how to do your Instagram content strategy. It's just a wide range of topics and experts. So those are some awesome resources too, if you're a podcast person.
Yeah, there's definitely something for everybody who's doing marketing in any facet. So, you know, if I feel like we're pretty much preaching to the choir, but if you don't know DM, go to digitalmarketer.com and check it out. Okay, so with that being said, you guys are content powerhouses. Like that totally segues into really what we're here to talk about. So you have so much content. You've got written content, audio content, video content, like content you have the DM lab, which is all like courses and craziness. Like, so how do you, as the senior social media manager, utilize that existing content in your strategy? Now, I know it's got to be a blend of like new content for social, but also you've got to be using, I'm totally acting like I don't know you're clients of ours. So like we're talking about like how you repurpose all of this stuff for social in like a strategic way, because there can be content overwhelm for content powerhouses. Like, how do you manage it? What does your game plan look like?
Yes. So I think number one, repurposing content or creating content snippets, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely essential for me. And I think for any social media manager out there, because you're doing kind of wearing a lot of hats as a social media manager. You're doing, you're kind of part of the customer service team as well. You just have so much going on. You just don't have time to create content from scratch and go out and find that content, create it from scratch. And I think a lot of mistakes that businesses make, especially small businesses, is they'll take the time to write a blog post, they'll publish it, and then that's it. They may share the link out on their Facebook page or LinkedIn or what have you, or Twitter, but then there's nothing beyond that. You really need to take that. My philosophy is take that piece of content that whoever wrote it worked so hard on it, and it's such high value, and repurpose it, break it into chunks that can be used for graphics, for videos, quote images, tip graphics. We do all kinds of things. So that's my philosophy. Is I work with Becky Zieber closely, and she's a content strategist. So I know ahead of time what's being published. And so then I take that piece of content and I break it out into, I'm going to do these 4 tips in a video. I'm going to do these 4 tips in a carousel post. I'm going to put these 4 tips on just one graphic. I'm going to pull out these quotes. So it's just a variety of ways to break up that post. Stories. So literally take that blog post that you published and think of like at least 10 ways that you can repurpose it to post throughout on your social media channels throughout the weeks and months to come. And so that's huge for us. And we also, one tactic that we use that's really worked for Facebook is we do share the link for if a new blog post is published. I share the link, but we actually change the social blog header image within our WordPress. So we have our graphic design look for all the blog posts, but we found that it's kind of cartoony almost, but we found that wasn't working for our social audience, especially on Facebook. So we actually now create specific graphics that we update just the social blog image in WordPress. And that has like exponentially increased traffic just doing that one little thing. And also playing around with the caption itself to drive that traffic. You want to be honest with your audience, don't trick them into clicking, but a lot of times people will just take the blog title as like the post, and I find that doesn't work as well. So really kind of focusing on those things. But going back to the repurposing, yes, don't let that content piece just sit on your blog. Get it out there on social media in as many ways as possible. And we use you guys, Repurpose House, to help us do that, especially with our podcast episodes. So sharing a podcast link, we haven't found that really drives any engagement or traffic to the podcast, but doing the snippet videos where you kind of pull out something that's key. It depends on how long you want it to be. You can do, under a minute if you want just really short and to the point. Podcast snippets, or you can even do longer and post them on IGTV on Instagram, for instance. That's a great way to kind of break up your podcast into these little audio snippets, and they're really cool looking videos. That gets people more interested because they're hearing a snippet of it and they want to know more. So that's definitely something to look into instead of just sharing the link to your podcast, how you can actually repurpose that content as well. So it can be overwhelming because you see all, businesses that you follow, they may be posting just a variety of content. They've got infographics, they got memes, they have videos. And that can be overwhelming, especially if you're a team of like one or very few. So I'm the senior social media manager here. I'm the only social media manager here. I do have an intern that helps me out 10 hours a week, but there's just no way that I could come up with all the content in just such a variety across all channels. So I suggest, and what has worked for me, is to test your content pieces. Come up with a content mix that you want to test. Look at some of your favorite brands. You can look at your competitors and see what they're doing. Also look at your favorite brands in the industry and even brands outside of your industry. So I've gotten a lot of content inspiration from like brands that are not in our industry. For instance, Penguin Random House, the publishing company. I've gotten like inspiration from those. So it just can be some of your favorite brands that you like to follow. Think about why you like following them and engaging with their content. So I suggest for each channel that you're on, try testing 3 content types. For instance, for Instagram, we tested quotes, we tested tip graphics, which can also be infographics, or they can just be like 4 tips, or they can be 4 resources. And we tested like graphic videos. Test those content pieces and see what's really working, and then kind of hone in on those. And you want to test, don't just sit with those 3 content pieces you've decided. You want to expand that to maybe 6 content pieces to test. You're going to find out what works and what doesn't work after just like 1 or 2 months, or even a few weeks. You can see, oh, this is not working, or this is really working for our audience. So we found that tip graphics, especially resources, really work super well on Instagram. So that's something that we post on a regular basis. So don't try to do everything. That can be overwhelming, and make sure it fits with your brand and your audience. Sometimes people will see something that they think they should be doing because everyone else is, but if it doesn't fit with your brand or the content that your audience wants, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, I get that question. Like people will be like, "Oh, I am in finance for, whatever. Should I be on TikTok?" And I'm like, well, like everything, there's no one size fits all solution to any of this for any brand really, because like platform makes a difference based on your audience. What you post makes a difference based on your audience. What you post makes a difference based on the platform with your audience. Like that's why I think you make a great point. Like test it, like put up 3 pieces of content consistently and see which ones are performing on Instagram, because it might be different on Facebook. And so you want to test that platform too and see how they're responding there. And LinkedIn's just completely different. So you found infographics helped really well on Instagram. Did you see a difference between the platforms? Like what type of content worked better on each?
Yes. So we honed in on kind of the highly visual, clean content on Instagram that really works for us. On Facebook, primarily what's really worked for us has been videos. Not super unsurprising. Facebook really wants you to be posting videos. Videos, but especially tactical videos. So we have this series that we do where it's like, we call them mini whiteboard workshops. And they're the most basic looking. It's like I wish there was a whiteboard behind me, but it's a whiteboard. And then some, expert is drawing how to do something. It could be like a funnel. For instance, Ryan Dice, our founder, we had him do a few, and one of them was he mapped the customer value journey. So it took you through each stage, and it was just him with a whiteboard and like the markers mapping the customer value journey. Really simple. And those have done extremely well on Facebook. People really crave that tactical content that they aren't getting elsewhere. So that's really worked for us. So it just does definitely depend on the audience and the platform. That's a great combination. And don't try to be on every platform. Like you said, we're not on TikTok. We have no plans to be on TikTok.
Good for you.
We're honing in on really Facebook's our number one, and then Instagram, LinkedIn, and then Twitter is still hanging in there. But Twitter's more if there's ever any issues or that come up, that's the place to be, or as far as like customer service issues. But yeah, so videos and links have worked on Facebook as well. So really? As I said, yeah, so
that's shocking, the links, because the whole general rule is like Facebook doesn't want you to leave Facebook, so links are like a big no-no. So are we debunking that, or what's the story with that?
For our audience, it's worked, and we do a combination of like our own links to blog posts and then like in curated articles. And so we've kind of honed in on, we use like, I look at Feedly to kind of organize different topics for curated articles to share. And I found that just by listening to your audience and even hopping into our private Facebook community, you can see what people really want to know. And it's like Facebook advertising, anything about Facebook in the news or Facebook advertising tips, that does extremely well for our own blog posts, as well as for any like outside curated articles. So I don't think it necessarily will work for just any brand, but I think definitely marketers are craving that content. Now, to be frank, we do boost posts, so that will make a huge difference. Yes. But we don't boost them for a huge budget or anything, and that's just a monitoring thing. You see what's really working to drive that traffic, and so kind of our process is the blog post has embedded like lead magnets in it, for instance, or maybe it's to register for a workshop or a workshop sale. It's some type of call to action within the blog post itself. It could be a free resource like a lead magnet, free download, or it could be like a sale, for instance. But my goal on Facebook, number one goal, is to actually drive using the links, the link shares, and also the tip graphics and videos and everything like that are based on that blog post, boosting those to get that traffic, and then people will read the blog post and they'll be like, oh, I want to download the customer avatar worksheet. That is a free resource. And of course, they have to submit their email address. So it's just kind of a process that we have honed in that I think is a big opportunity. Yeah, but definitely focus on your audience and see what platform, where they are, and what kind of content resonates with them. I will say Facebook, it does help to have, you need that paid in there.
Yeah, it opens up the gates to your existing audience plus some. So, because that's where we talk about, like, if you're going to go organic, links are not going to do much for you, because Facebook's not going to let almost anybody see them. But if you are utilizing them for a strategy like that and you want to put a little bit of budget behind it, it opens up the floodgates of, okay, now nobody was seeing it, to now, you know, your paid audience that you're looking for. It doesn't have to be much, like you're saying.
Yeah, that's something that's worked for us. It may not be work for all audiences, but it has, or all brands, but it has worked for us. But I say definitely test out some content pieces and definitely try to create some video series, repurpose the podcast episodes into videos. So really video heavy on Facebook works, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is something that I'm still testing in the process, but the number one thing I've found, I've tried a lot of different things, but LinkedIn also wants you to stay on their site. And we don't do LinkedIn ads, so we try to, most of our content is gonna stay on, it's gonna keep them on LinkedIn. So what I've been doing is creating like PDFs, and I'll take part, you know, it's even a PDF of a blog post, for instance, or it could be a how-to guide, create a quick PDF, and then I just do it in Google Drive, and then when you're on LinkedIn, there's the PDF button, and then it can connect to your Google Drive, and you just choose that document. And that's worked really well. That's been our like number one content type on LinkedIn. Cool. So it's about, LinkedIn's been you know, they say, oh, do videos. There's always, you know, what to do on LinkedIn, but I say definitely check out making some PDFs and see how that engages.
I'm going to do that for sure. I do want to circle back to one quick thing. You were talking about the journey of posting a piece of content and knowing that you're going to send them to the landing page and there's going to be like an opt-in for some sort of lead generation. There's like an end game. And one thing that like I try to preach constantly is like, have a call to action, have an end game. Like, what do you want people to do after they watched or read that piece of content, right? And because you can't deposit likes, like for some people, it's great to get some sort of like just brand awareness and having content out there. But if you don't have a strategy that's pushing back to get some sort of result outside of just more followers with no like actual trackable results, I feel like you're kind of spinning your wheels for no reason. So
yeah, exactly. And like on Facebook, we boost the posts to get people to get that traffic, but we also boost for engagements. And then our paid media manager, we run retarget ads,
right,
for the engaged social audience. So it's just all paid. So number one thing, paid and organic need to work together. And I think paid and organic need to be a part of your strategy.
for sure.
Definitely don't just have one or the other. It needs to be.
Yeah, you can't. You know, we have clients who've had awesome success just doing organic campaigns that lead them back to like a gated piece of content that is consistent. So like guys, whoever's listening, like you don't have to have paid to make this stuff work, but it certainly helps in circumstances like that. And if you're going to have paid, have like a journey that you want them to go on in an end game. But also, like Shannon was saying, if you have paid just for engagement, there's a reason for that, because now they're going to retarget with other content that will draw them into a call to action. So there's an end game for all paid assets for sure. So just make sure that you're not just boosting posts just to boost posts, unless you're testing them. You know what I mean? Like there's other ways to go about it, but you know, don't get sucked into vanity metrics for no reason. You want to know what the full journey is going to look like.
Yes. And don't just, and don't be like super promotional. That's my number one pet peeve. Brands just want to post about themselves and what's going on, you know, in their company or what have you. Or we got the sale going on. You see that all the time.
There's always a sale.
People they care about themselves. Your audience doesn't want to see all your promotional content constantly. So definitely mix in. It really needs to be highly valuable content, valuable to your audience, entertaining, inspirational, to kind of focus on one of those three areas with each content piece. And sure, if you have a sale, like you can post about it because you've already shown value to your audience by posting such great content that really helps them and speaks to them. But if all you're doing is just shouting at them about your latest sale, you're not going to get anywhere with that.
Right.
That's like the number one thing I would absolutely say.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's super smart. So last thing I want to kind of touch on is the role of a social media manager. Like some people are like, I know a handful of like CEOs who hire somebody and they're like, they can do all of it. They can make everything happen. And my social media is going to explode immediately. And, you know, why shouldn't they be able to handle all things content and social? Can you like just break down that there's a lot more to it, and that one person can only do so much, even though it's seemingly like to some people who aren't actively involved, like, oh, they're just posting on social. Like there's so much more to it than that. Yeah,
that's like one of the things is like people are like, oh, you just make some post and publish them and we're going to get great results. And there's like a lot of strategy that goes into it. And it's constantly like refreshing your strategy, looking at analytics on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, refreshing that strategy. Okay, this isn't working. We're going to test this. So there's a lot of like analytics and analysis that goes into being a social media manager. You also have you're a part of multiple departments. You're working with multiple people. In my case, I work with the design team, video team, the content team, and the marketing team. So there's a variety of teams. You have like a lot of hats in there as well. And so I can speak for most social media managers. I'm in like some social media groups and we kind of have some of the same issues, maybe that's not the right word, but
Sure, experiences. Yeah.
yeah, experiences. That's
Totally.
it. As a social media manager, you, for the most part, are in charge of coming up with the content ideas and either creating the content pieces yourself or using someone like you guys, Repurpose House, to repurpose the content pieces, or telling the graphic designer, like we use Trello and I assign to our graphic design team the content pieces for each channel. But I'm the one that is actually coming up with the ideas for all of the content pieces. So if you're managing multiple brands, that can be in itself like almost a full-time job. And so I do come up with the content pieces. We have awesome designers and videographers, thank goodness, that are able to film series or create the graphics that I need. And then I use you guys, especially for the podcast snippets. So it's kind of like various areas that I pull content for. And then I actually write and schedule all the posts. I have an intern currently helping me out on that aspect, but I still approve everything. So I write and schedule. I engage with people when they comment. Sometimes they're especially on Facebook, sometimes not the nicest comments.
Well, that's
everybody's on Facebook, you understand.
Yeah.
So engage with people who are asking questions or just engaging on our posts. And then I do manage the boosting post strategy. So I manage the budgets for the brands and make sure you don't go under or over, try to be within budget each month. Yeah. And then I also monitor, see what's doing well, add more paid money to that, or stop ads that are not performing. So it's a lot of daily analysis.
Yeah.
And then also, direct messages in Instagram, yeah. Facebook Messenger, which that is like that's my least favorite part of the job, is managing the messenger messages. Yeah. So you could have, anybody who's in Facebook, if you manage Facebook Messenger for your brand, you understand it's like half spam, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And half, really angry people. You don't really get like the nice.
Every once in a while, messages. Maybe a gem.
Every once in a while. Now, Instagram direct messages, you get a combination of spam and then like really nice messages. So.
Yeah. So Instagram's where the happy lives.
Yeah. Instagram is like more positive. But Facebook, for us at least, gets more of the end results.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, for all of you businesses out there who are just high, because there's a lot of like small business owners who we engage with, and like I just want them to know that when you hire like a social media manager or a marketing person, quote unquote, like there's so much to this that like it's okay to use outside resources like designers and like copywriters and things like that. Like, don't expect this one person to be able to do all of these crazy, because you just talked about the 5 different teams that help you with the content creation piece. Then, to expect one person to be able to do all of the things is completely unrealistic, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, I would never be able to sleep or have a weekend off or anything, even if I had to actually create all the videos and graphics. And I know there's social media managers out there that do. That's their expectation. And I'm just like, that's not fair in my opinion. And like, y'all guys are completely affordable. There's just no reason to like, sometimes I feel like social media gets put on the back burner for a lot of companies. But then they expect so much and they expect results, but they're not giving the person the resources to do that. So I think just be mindful that you're asking them to do a lot and that they need help. That person needs help if you really want the results you're looking for with social media. And also set expectations for social media. Like, what are the specific goals, and make sure they fit in with their overall business goal. But really give them resources, give them a budget, like Repurpose House to help them repurpose content pieces. Give them a budget to use like a platform. We use Sprout Social here, but like a third party scheduler that also has analytics. You just need to give them and an intern perhaps, or hire a second team member.
Right.
Don't expect them to work crazy miracles without any type of resources.
For sure. And there's so many tools that you can use as like productized service. Like Content Cucumber is a great one to help you write your blog posts and things like that. You still go through and tweak it, make sure it's in your voice, but they'll write all sorts of things. Design Pickle obviously is all graphic design. Like there's just so many. And like,
use Grammarly, guys.
Yes,
I love
use
it.
Grammarly.
And I just have the free, but I know there's the paid version, but I just have like the free Chrome extension, Grammarly. It's a lifesaver because I have, accidentally published something with misspelling before, and then people automatically comment, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
But that's going to help you with obviously any misspellings before you post, but also gives you like sentiment. So if you're looking for like a happy, joyful sentiment and it says angry, you want to like look at your post copy.
Right. Are there any other awesome tools that you use that have helped you in your work?
So we use something called Vast Clicks here. And so that is when you're sharing. So we also share like curated articles. So some of our favorites, and this is not necessarily tools, but if you're in the marketing field and you need some additional content, I like to do outside content that I find valuable. So Social Media Today is one for sure. Social Media Examiner, Content Marketing Institute. There's a bunch, but you can use something like Feedly to organize it based on topics. So I have like a Facebook advertising, I forgot what they call it, not a box, something. It's like a Facebook advertising folder, and I have all these resources, and I can go to that every day and see new articles to share. Cool. So Feedly is one, and there's a free version and a paid version. So if you just want to organize different topics to post, but Vast Clicks is paid, but I don't think it's very much. And what you can do is you can take that article from like Social Media Today, and you put the link into Vast Clicks, and it'll actually, and you attach your Facebook pixel within Vast Clicks. And so it actually will pixel the audience that goes to that link.
Really?
So it's a way to like build a retargeting list.
Okay.
Now, like Social Media Today is still getting that traffic, but then you're still able to pixel that audience. So
that's rad.
That is something I did not discover that on my own. That was already set up. I was like, this is fascinating. This is so cool.
Right? That's awesome.
And then one other one is SparkToro, which is just one word. And it's Rand Fishkin, who is very well known, and he used to work at Moz, and he's like very well. And he started a new company called SparkToro, and they're relatively new, and they're constantly building like different resources. But they have a few free resources, and one is like the front page of the web marketing world, and you can go to that, and it's like by day or week, I think month, and it'll have all the top articles on Twitter in the web marketing world. And that's another resource to find content pieces. And they also have like a fake followers audit, so you can see how many fake followers you have.
Nice.
And it's really cool. I was playing around with it last night, and that they give you there's a dashboard, and you get 10 free searches. So you can search like Facebook advertising, and you can search by popular blogs or by accounts people follow, and it will give you a list of like the top Instagram accounts that people follow who are interested in Facebook advertising. It was like,
awesome.
Mind blowing. So that's SparkToro. There's a lot you can kind of play around with there. That's an awesome resource for finding topics that, well, not only topics, but more like accounts and blogs and YouTube channels that people in your audience are following and are interested in.
Gotcha. And then you go and check out what they're doing and
exactly.
Do more like that.
Articles, but it's more like, you can see what are they doing that's really like resonating.
That's awesome. Awesome. We've got a nice laundry list of great tools that people can use now that are going to be at the bottom of this page. That's great.
And I know one last one. This is like one of my favorites. It's called Orla Larkin Caption Maker. It's a person, she's a woman.
Oh, okay.
But you can just type in like a Google search, Orla, O-R-L-A, Larkin, L-A-R-K-I-N, Caption Maker. And it's Instagram Caption Maker.
Oh.
Where you can just copy and paste your Instagram caption, or you can type it right there in the box with the spaces that you want. And then convert it and then paste it into Sprout Social or Creator Studio, or directly in the Instagram app if you want. And it just publishes with the spaces you want. There's no more like weird periods to get spaces that I see.
So for the copy,
it's a clean,
got it.
Perfect caption. And I like to, I know some people like to comment with their hashtags, but I find that overwhelming because I forget and it'll be like hours later.
Yeah,
so I stopped doing that, and now I just use this, and I put like 3 spaces between what I call the call for engagement. So that would be like, head to our story, or a question that you want them to, Instagram.
Yeah.
So I do like 3 spaces and then put all my hashtags.
Yeah.
And it's like perfect every time. So
that's awesome. It's funny now that you say that, because when you were saying caption maker, I was thinking like captions for videos, but then I was like, oh, we use that tool and it's awesome. I just couldn't remember the name of it. Yeah, but no, it's amazing. It's like the first time I copied and pasted, I was like, there's no way this is going to work. And then it populated. I was like, it looks perfect. So like the copy underneath, guys, just so you understand, like instead of all the stupid dots, it just looks like a clean piece of copy, like it should. So
yeah, and the number one, like, the cluttered captions bother me, because like your message gets lost, especially if it's like all your hashtags are jumbled into your caption. People are just not gonna really read that. So this is just use it.
Yeah,
every time you
it's
post.
awesome.
Separate your hashtags from your posts.
And if you guys are using any like social post platforms, I know the last couple that we've used and tested for like our posting services, you can actually, it asks you what you want the first comment to be. So you can add the hashtags in it and it will automatically post it when it goes live. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, look out for those of you listening, watching, look out for some of those, because that may take care of that caption issue for you. But
that's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, any of the tools that can help, because Instagram, is a little challenging, so no clickable links or anything, which I don't hate, honestly, because I like the engagement on Instagram. People love helpful content. Like, number one, you can we post some memes and stuff and gifts and stuff on Instagram, but number one, like, people really appreciate helpful content, really appreciate it. If you give them like 4 tools, like 4 places to find content to share or something like that, like, people go crazy for that. Or 4 tools to create social graphics, whatever it is. People go crazy on Instagram for actual helpful tactical content.
Nice. Awesome. Very cool. Well, Shannon, is there anything, we went super over just because this is an awesome conversation, but is there anything else that you think that we should know that we haven't touched base on?
I guess the one thing, so we talked about the podcast snippets for Repurpose House, but take those longer videos and use Repurpose House to cut them up for a variety. You can cut them up for whatever you want. You can, Instagram or stories, or if you just want to like tease out something, like, let's say you have an upcoming workshop that you're planning and you film some whiteboards, you can then splinter those for various channels and really hold people's attention and generate that excitement for the workshop. So the whiteboards will be kind of primers for the workshop, because you have the expert teaching something in a whiteboard, but the workshop's going to be the whole shebang. So think of a variety of ways you can promote an upcoming event without being like, just register for my event, because you're actually providing something of value and they're getting something tactical that they can use. But it also gets them a little intrigued to want to know more, learn more.
That's an awesome tip. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, Shannon, if people want to go check out more of what you are doing, where can they find you and DigitalMarketer's content?
So DigitalMarketer, just at DigitalMarketer on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. So DigitalMarketer is just how you spell digital marketer, really, but it's one word. Now Twitter, It's MKTR, because the person that has DigitalMarketer, they're no longer active, but I've tried to get Twitter to, because there's that where they're purging accounts. And I'm like, why have you not purged this account?
Right. It's been years. Purge it.
So it's digital MKTR on Twitter, but everywhere else you can just do DigitalMarketer, one word, and you'll be able to find us. And then, so that's for DigitalMarketer, and that's kind of the main focus. Then we also just recently launched the Scalable Company, but there's more to come on that. So you can find us the Scalable Company or at Scalable Co. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram as well.
Yeah, and then guys, like, there's so much going on with these companies. You go follow Ryan Dice or Roland Fraser, or any of them, you're gonna see what's going on pretty quickly.
Ryan Dice would definitely be one to follow, and he's not on Instagram. I think he has a personal Instagram, but it's not. Yeah, he doesn't really post to it. But yeah, he's on. Definitely give him a follow on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Cool. Well, Shannon, this was awesome. Thank you so much. And guys, everybody listening, watching, if you thought this episode was awesome and you got so much out of it, please share it with other marketers that you think would get awesome value. Go check out DigitalMarketer, check out all their social channels, and see how Shannon is just crushing it over there. And everybody, we will talk to you next week. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.